I am Sonee Thompson. I'm here with Dan Birmingham, the man in boxing in Florida. And specifically we're at the St. Pete Boxing Club here in St. Pete. And I'm here to just get real with Dan, ask him a little bit. He's right up off the win with Keith Thurman against Carlos Quintana. So we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Keith. We're going to talk about Winky. We're going to talk about Jeff. We're going to talk about everything St. Pete boxing here. So let's get it going. First thing I want to talk about is roots. There's a lot of roots in this gym. They come from some really incredible people. Let's start talking about, before we get into Keith and everybody else, let's talk about Mike Birmingham.
My brother Mike was an amateur boxer, so was I back in Youngstown, Ohio. That's where we're from. And I came down here in 1973, and Mike followed me down here a few years later. We've been here ever since, along with the kids.
So Mike was known as your cut man.
Yes.
But he was much more than that.
Well, Mike was a trainer. Mike trained Jeff Lacey by himself.
Right.
For 5 or 6 years. Jeff was an amateur. And several other kids in St. Pete. Well, not only that, Jeff used to live with Mike on the weekends.
Wow.
For a few years, because they had 9 kids in their house, a 2-bedroom house with no air conditioning, very little food in the refrigerator. So Jeff stayed with Mike, and Mike took care of him on the weekends.
Was there a definitive cause of death given for your brother?
Well, yeah, he died of heart failure, and the reason is when the chiropractor snapped his neck, he paralyzed him for a while.
Wow.
He had to have an operation that night, and he was never the same. Mike was always built like Rambo.
Right.
Strong.
I saw that photo. I mean, bam, 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 the six-pack and everything.
And then he couldn't exercise anymore, and then the pain pills he had to take, you know, and he took those for years, and it really was hard. He took a shower one day and took 3 steps and fell flat on his face and died.
How hard was it to go on with that life? Not just for you, but for this gym.
It was real hard. It was a heck of an adjustment. Mike would come in here and motivate the kids, you know, and being without him, it was like the gym was empty. It was really tough to go on for a while.
And I'm sure still now. I mean, it's probably daily thoughts of him because he's steeped in this
He
gym.
was not only my baby brother, he was my best friend. You know, he was with me in the corner every time I was in the corner. It was a tough adjustment.
Dan, what part of Mike lives on through you? What do you know that there's a part of Mike that's in you? What is that lives on for him?
Just his being, his spirit. I mean, he was like part of me. When he died, part of me.
Talk about Ben Getty.
There was another tough loss right there.
And you told me that happened within days of...
Well, Ben passed away, and Mike died about 2.5 months later. It was real hard. I remember the day that his son called me and said, Ben passed away last night. It was like surreal. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
What did Ben work out of this actual club?
Yes.
What did he do to pioneer what this club is today?
Well, him and I became friends a long time ago. I met him up in Safety Harbor, at the Safety Harbor
Spa. Was that when Jimmy Williams was up there?
Yeah, Jimmy, another close friend of mine.
Wow.
I call him my second dad.
Yeah.
Me and Jimmy are real close. But I met Ben up there when Mickey Duff used to bring his fighters from England over there, Lloyd Hannigan and such.
Right.
I used to take Winky up there when he was an amateur to box with me.
Okay. Mugabe used to hang out there.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray used to come from LA and come there. That is a historic place for boxing, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, it didn't last that long.
No.
A summer or two, and it was over. I got to meet some really good people.
Yeah. Now, tell me how Ben kind of passed on a legacy to you, and that he passed Keith basically on to you.
And yeah, he started Keith when he was seven years old, and marched him through 100 amateur fights and 7 national titles.
Wow. So he took him through the 101 wins and the 76
Ben was in his
KOs.
corner every fight, and you know, and then he brought Keith in here, I think he was 14 or 15 years old, and, you know, we were partners.
Now, I know you were already working with Keith
Yeah.
prior to Ben's unfortunate passing, but how was the transition? Was it just a natural?
It really was. I mean, I was working with Keith, you know, Ben didn't like to work the midst too much, so I was working the midst with Keith, and Ben did say to me a few times, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to train Keith. I don't think I ever told Keith that.
Wow.
So when he passed away, you know, Keith says, when you take over, it's an honor to train a kid.
And it's been smooth sailing ever
Oh,
since.
yeah, we get along great.
Keith doesn't give you any trouble?
No. No.
Now, is it rare that a fighter of Keith's age, he's only 23 right now.
Yeah. Turned 24 the day before this victory.
Oh, great. What a birthday
23rd
present.
November, he was 24 years old.
November 23rd. Now, so he's 24 now. Is it rare for a fighter of his age to get the opportunities that he has to hone his skills in a gym like this? I mean, now kids work out in the gym every day. We see it right behind us. But how many get to spar with Chad Dawson? How many get to work with Winky and Jeff Lacey?
Well, Keith earned that right. I mean, by the time he was 16, he'd already won a few national titles. He had the experience, so, you know, I brought Ben and him to camp with us, and he had the opportunity to box with Winky and Jeff and Chad Dawson. Held his own. You know?
Right.
Held his own.
That's cool to hear that he earned that right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it wasn't just that, oh, he happened to be here and they happened to be here and we put it
Keith
together.
is very gifted, very gifted.
Let's talk a little bit about the Quintana fight. I told you that I watched it again today. I was mesmerized once again. And I'm not just blowing smoke. The fight is what it is. You look at it, you Google it, you YouTube it, and watch the 4 rounds, and you will be up out of your seat. It was just really fantastic to watch. Was this the result that you knew you were going to get going into the fight?
I knew most definitely Keith would stop this guy. I didn't know he would stop him that early. The fight should have been over in the first round.
Yeah, when that left.
The referee gave us a slow count.
It was slow.
Slow and long.
Yeah.
He gave Quintana a chance to get back.
Plenty
in
of
the
time to
fight.
get up, yeah. They had some time to burn there between that main event. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying.
Exactly.
But, so that was the exact result that you and Keith both expected in the corner. Are you training Keith to be a KO artist? Now, the reason I ask you that, now a KO artist is a totally different fighter than a true boxer, but Keith says he's a boxer. Is he a boxer that has KO tendencies?
He's a puncher that can box.
That's a good one.
He's a puncher that can
Okay.
box. And he has a saying, KOs for life, because he's coming to get you out of it. He's going to box his way into his power, and when the time is right, the opportunity time, he turns on the power. That's what he does. I mean, out of some amateur fights, he probably knocked out 80 of them.
So are you training him to be a knockout artist, or is that naturally in his being?
I'm training an already exciting fighter to be more exciting.
Fair enough. Okay, in the Quintana fight, he was very crafty, Quintana himself, although he got clocked in the first round.
Yeah.
After that, he skirted around there, and what I told you before, he's the type of fighter to me, he stays in the fight and he's backing up, but he doesn't look like he's backing up. He looks like he's more in the fight than he actually is. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, that's because he's always feinting and juking you, and that looks like the fighter is in control.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we had an answer for that. I mean, Keith used his jab, he body punched real nice. And the best thing that Keith Thurman does is control the distance. If you notice, when he was either out of range, but when he was in range, he was punching, he was firing.
Yeah. The pacing was amazing. I told you that what was very impressive to me was the cutting off of the ring.
Yes.
He matched almost Quintana step for
Yes,
step.
yes.
And what that allowed him to do was to align that right, and that straight right was on fire
We worked
on
on
Saturday
that.
night.
We worked on that angle consistently, you know, for the southpaw, cutting the ring off, setting a trap. Whenever a fighter is, you know, trap zone, we say really the corner. You cut the ring off where these ropes are. One rope, this rope, corner off. Whenever a fighter gets near that area where we call that the trap zone.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is come forward and try to back you into the ropes and back back you into the corner
Right.
and then take it to you.
Yeah, that's funny, because that's exactly what Guerrero did to Berto,
Yes.
and what Berto probably had intended to do to Guerrero.
Yes.
And that's what Keith ended up doing, because I was saying, wow, when I was looking at the fight, who knew what was going to happen in the main event after that?
Yes, yes.
But I kept seeing him back Quintana up, and he could not get away, and that's the exact thing that Guerrero did to take Berto down, because half the fight was on ropes.
Once Quintana got a taste of Keith's power, I mean, that was a telltale stage. And he didn't want any more, so he ran constantly.
That body shot to the liver,
Yeah.
what did that do to his